my illustration for this. I know how to make a phone call with this. I know how to text with it. I can check my bank account. I can use GPS with this. I can check the weather. I can do Facebook. There are a number of other things I can do. If I wanted to know everything there was to know that this phone can do, the learning curve would be, gargantuan to say the least, okay? In 2 hours, and the reason I'm bringing this up, in 2 hours, we're not going to be able to show you everything about World Bible School Internet. But when we're done this afternoon, you're going to know how to make a phone call and make a text. Otherwise, you'll be able to adopt a student, teach a student, all that kind of stuff. Now, feel free to ask questions at any time because I tend to be a freight train. And these are just screenshots of some of the things you're going to see up on the screen. And so you can have this. There's one for each of you. And I also, here, Pat. This is something, this is just a catalog of different things regarding World Bible School. I mean, we're not going to look at this at all today. Let's see, there's 3 of you. There's 3. And you can, yeah, there you go. And there you are, Pat. So, what we're going to do, first of all, World Bible School has there are 2 websites. They're both World Bible School and then tell me your name again.
Lori.
It was Lori this morning, wasn't it? Okay, I just want to make sure you didn't change your name. I didn't forget. World Bible School has 2 websites, worldbibleschool.net and worldbibleschool.org. Okay, you're going to do all of your work on O-R-G, okay? Net, what John has keyed up, you'll see in just a minute, is a 3-minute video that if you wanted to look at it, you'd go to worldbibleschool.net, you'd hit online tools, and you go down and you hit online courses, and that's it. And so, John, you ready with that?
Heard this verse 100 times. Matthew 28:19. Go into all the nations and make disciples. Well, my home church already does that with an amazing missions program, but I wanted to do so much more evangelism on my own. What if I told you I found a way to do it where I can reach anyone in the whole world? Let me show you. Evangelism is such an important part of our lives as Christians, but I always struggled with what to do and how to get started. With World Bible School's online lessons, I'm able to connect with individuals around the world, even ones in my own city who want to learn more about the gospel. Most mornings, I have a little extra time before heading into work, and it's the perfect time to connect with my students online. Each morning, I check in with their progress, view their lesson plans, but most importantly, have meaningful conversations with them throughout their day. So you might be wondering, how can I do this too? Well, after I was approved as a study helper, I logged into the website and adopted my first student from the student board. The student board shows you all the students who are interested in learning more about the Bible. I started with my first student, Victoria, and within days, I was already helping her with her courses and answering any questions she had for me. Then, after she made some great progress, I decided to add 2 more students to my roster. Not only can I teach students right here in my own city, I can adopt students from around the world. In fact, I just got a message here from Gordon, who lives in Africa. He's using the WBS Lite app, which is integrated with WhatsApp, so we can communicate instantly. Some of my students don't make it through the entire course, and some don't even make it through the first lesson. But I don't let that discourage me. Instead, I encourage my students to continue studying, and I go adopt more students. My goal is to help as many people as possible. The WBS app makes it so easy to check on my students and gives us an opportunity to talk instantly no matter where we're at in the entire world. What I love most about World Bible School is the relationships I've developed, and I think that's exactly what Jesus intended. He knew that the connections that would be made through the spreading of the gospel would be beneficial to both sides. I know for me personally, this experience has been life-changing, and I am certain that the friendships I've developed with my students will last through eternity. In fact, I'm meeting one now.
Now, John, will you bring up the net site just a minute, please? Here, Todd. Okay, now if you notice up there where it says tools, and then you drop down to online lessons. If you want to watch that video, that's what you do. Now, go, yeah, thank you, John. Notice where it says apply to become a study helper. Are any of you not study helpers? Okay. All you would do, you'd click that. There's a form you fill out. It's a piece of cake. There's nothing complex about this. Below that it said, if you want to be a student, well, that's not your situation at all. Okay, so let's go to org now, John. Because what we're going to look at really the rest of the time is where you're going to spend all your time is at worldbibleschool.org. And you can just, mark these, bookmark these on your computer or your phone, however you do it. I've noticed young people really like to use phones. Have you ever noticed that? I mean, to do all kinds of stuff. My daughter does our daughter has Amazon Prime. We don't want to pay the monthly fee, and so she has our credit card, so when we need something, she orders it. But she does everything on her iPhone. Okay, go ahead up to dashboard, not that one, the one in the middle. Up, there you go. Now, hold it there. Can you all see it says Jim Corner Bible Study Group, and then Buckingham Road Church of Christ? Can you read that well? You can't read that well? That's what it says, believe it or not. When you sign up to be a study helper, you will automatically have both of those. You won't have Jim Corner. It'd be Pat Peters Study Group and Custer Avenue Church of Christ. You don't have to do anything. Those will pop up automatically once you become a teacher. Okay, so let's go to Buckingham Road, please. There you go. So we're going to spend most of our time here. The two dashboards are fairly similar. In the upper, you don't have to follow the cursor here on my John, but under Buckingham Road Church of Christ, you see the BRCC logo. Okay, my daughter-in-law's sister made that. Hey, if you have someone artistic in the congregation, whatever logo you want to have, no logo. I mean, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's go up to the top, go to student board. Yeah, that's it. Okay, Jim Corner, that's my students. So only I have access to them. Those are the actual, and we'll see that in a minute. The Buckingham Road is my congregation, so it will have all of our students. So you're going to have your students, and then you'll see the congregation's deal. So that's the difference in the dashboards. Okay, this is on your second page, the student board. Student board is people all over the world who want to study the Bible, okay? One thing about World Bible School, we're not knocking their door, they're knocking our door, okay? They have, in the case of the internet, in almost all cases, there are a few exceptions, have seen an internet ad. And so they said, I want to study the Bible with World Bible School. So these are people that they're live, okay? This isn't cold turkey door knocking. And so if you notice, it's easier. I know you definitely easier than that. And I don't even know. Well, we're all looking at the same page here. You have the name of the student, their age, gender, language. One thing, if you have, if you have, God bless you. If you have Portuguese fluent people, you can take Portuguese students. If you have Spanish fluent people, you can take Spanish students. If you have French, you can use French. Now, I'm still working becoming fluent in English, so that's all I deal with, okay? And that's all my congregation does, is English. Where they live, you see Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and done. The intro, have they started? Notice on the page I gave you, none of them have started. When they registered, under mode, you see the globe? Now, if you look up at the screen, once again, I don't know if you can read there or not, but it says Light App Student. What's that? There are 8 billion people in the world, 8 billion. There are still roughly 3 billion that do not have internet access. There are a ton of third world people who have access to the internet. I mean, a ton of them. What they don't have is the money to hang on a connection and pay for it. Now, you remember when cell phones first came out and you bought minutes? You remember that? You probably don't remember. You're too young, Lori, but us old people, we had to buy minutes. And I remember the first, this is no joke, the first plan that Linda and I got was a 5-minute a month plan. And it was for one reason. We bought one phone. It was for her if she had an emergency somewhere. She had a flat tire. I don't think we ever spent 5 minutes a month, okay? And then we got 100 minutes a month. And then 300 minutes a month. And of course, now you could talk all day long, right? In third world countries, they go by units. It's the same concept as minutes. What the Light app does, they can go to the internet, download all of the World Bible School courses, including the Bible, for free. They then will do the lessons offline. It's not paying any money. They're doing the lesson. Then they go to an internet cafe. They connect. They hit send. They disconnect. Bam, they're out of here. So if you put your cursor like that, it says Light app, it may say web student. That's just not a Light app. Okay, that means nothing to you or to me. Your teaching will be no different. You wouldn't. The only reason you would know they were a Light app student or a web student is if you looked. The only other possibility you'll see every once in a while is an envelope. What do you think an envelope means? They're a postal student, okay? And there are some, not many, postal students who sign up on the internet. Okay, excuse me.
We've got 9 postal students.
That's fine.
We've got 120, what'd you say, 127 of the online students.
Well, one thing I talked to Mike briefly about this morning, and I don't know a whole lot about what I'm fixing to talk to you about. I know that much. One of the problems with postal is the mail systems in third world countries. My congregation, we have a World Bible School class every Wednesday night. And we mail out approximately 80 introductory lessons every week. And we get very little response back. So what World Bible School is doing, they've got a pilot program. One is in Zimbabwe, Ghana, and Nigeria. And they have what we call World Bible School Service Centers. All this means is students will get an introductory. The material's over there, okay? We've already shipped all the lessons over there. They will get the lesson, they'll fill it out. They will turn it into the service center. They will scan the lessons to us, okay? So there's no mail involved. We then, in our case at Buckingham Road, we will grade, we will scan back. So we won't buy any material, we won't pay for any postage. Now, like I said, this is in the infant stage. You can't do this in America, you can't do this in any other places than the few I mentioned. But Tim Yeager, who is the hotshot tech guy at World Bible School, I talked to him on the phone the other day. Well, in fact, we had a Zoom call with him and two of our people at church, because we're going to do it. It's called Ocean Bridge. That's the name of this new system, Ocean Bridge. And my congregation's going to do this. He said, he was talking, some congregation in Alabama, I can't remember where it was, that had been doing postal for years and I mean decades, literally. And, not a whole lot of response. And they started doing Ocean Bridge just in January. This is only May. They've already got 60 to 80% of their students have already finished Born of Water and the Spirit, which is the 5th lesson. And he told me, he said, Jim, he said, one congregation called me and said, we've had 8 baptism requests already, just from this little pilot thing. And then 2 days later, they called me, no, we're wrong, 30. So we're very hopeful that will help the postal situation. Now, once again, we'll see what happens. And then you'll notice encourage, and if you see in brackets, you got 2, 2, 2. Maybe they're all 2s. Well, you got 3, 3. Okay, here's the way this works, and I'm going to show you this later on. We're going to bring up my personal email. When you have, the way World Bible School Internet works, okay, there are people all over the world who Google free Bible study. I want to know more about the Bible. There are over 400 word combinations that if that comes up, we will come up to them. And then they will say, I want to study the Bible. And so if you have a web target, we're going to talk about web targets later. Okay, so I'm probably getting ahead of myself. What will happen is you will get an ability to encourage. Doesn't mean you're adopting them. Our World Bible School's terminology is when you become the teacher, number one, you're a study helper. You're not, I don't know who came up with this lingo. But study helper is a teacher. Adopting is when I say, I want to have Lori be my student, okay? When you encourage, you can write anything you want. What I've done is I have a canned little speech that you can go in there and type it out and hit insert, and it's there all the time. Because your first encouragement letter, I say, my name's Jim Corner. Don't ever give personal information. What I'm saying is, don't give your address, don't give your phone number, don't give your email address, don't give your WhatsApp. Well, you probably don't have a WhatsApp number, but don't, nothing like that. But I'll say, my name's Jim Corner, I'm married, I have 3 children, 10 grandchildren. I've worked in Cameroon for this many years, and it, like I said, it's just a canned deal. And so when I want to encourage someone, I just bring it up, I hit insert, it's there, bam, submit, and I'm done. Once again, they're not my student. I've just simply encouraged them. We limit 3 encouragement letters. So let's say all of you were doing internet, and let's say Ryan and Lynn and Marilyn have all encouraged John, whoever John is. And then Fran comes along. No, I know it's Donna. Donna comes along, and she wants to encourage. She can't encourage you, not that person. 3 is the maximum. I'm sorry. Okay, you just had luck on that one. Now, once again on your sheet, adopt. That's when you say, "Yep, I want them to be my student." And when you clicked adopt, you have an opportunity to say, "Whoops, I don't think I want to," because it will say, "Are you sure you want to adopt John Doe?" And when you say yes, then they are your student. You never have to worry about duplication. Because once Mike adopts whoever he adopts, Todd or anybody else will ever see that person. They come off the board. Okay? These people on this screenshot here obviously have not been adopted. But once, for example, Anismo Magwasana, however you pronounce his name, they have some interesting names. Once somebody adopts him, then he's off the list. So Pat, for example, will never see his name. So there's never a duplication, okay? Okay, now, up at the top, don't worry about community. It's just nothing to worry about. But I want you to go to resources. Okay, on the drop down, you will see, I wish I could read better. What's that say? What does it say? Courses. Courses, hallelujah. It does say courses. I remember that. Okay, what that is, World Bible School has 7 lessons which comprise what we call the Master Series. And we have other lessons too. But the courses there are those. And so if you want to look at them, it's a synopsis. Okay, what is the intro about? What is Born and Water and the Spirit about? This is good news. That's all that is. The next one is Study Helper News. You can read that. That's just different things. But I do want you to pull up Study Helper Tutorials. I don't say what, John. There you go. Yeah, pop that. Now, let me say this. There we go. One of the hurdles that I have to leap when I come into congregation, whether it be first time, as I did in 2019, 19-something, or even today, I don't want to leave you the impression that World Bible School is this flawless ministry, that, boy, once you get involved, you're going to have so many converts, you won't be able to keep up with them. That won't happen, okay? We're talking about evangelism. You ever tried evangelism of any kind? You ever invited somebody to the gospel meeting and they didn't show up? You ever invited somebody to study the Bible and they said no? You know? I mean, most of the time the answer is no. At least that's my experience. Now, it's usually a polite no, but it's no, okay? Now, if you want to really have if you want to individually have a good number of students, these tutorials are going to help you out immensely. Now, some of them, go ahead and show the far left suggestions for avoiding scams, I think is what that is. And go ahead and hit that one, please. Now, you see, this is just an article. It's a one-page article. Take you a minute to read. Okay, back up, please. And if I remember right, go down on the left. Shall I send? No, activity and course progress. Hit that. Let me see if that's the one I want to look. Because some of them are videos. Okay, this is video. And you can't read it from here, but I'm pretty sure it says 3 minutes and 36 seconds. So the videos are small. Go ahead and start just playing that for, we're not going to listen to the whole thing.
We're reviewing study activities and course progress.
And this is, of course, something that would probably not happen in many other countries because many other countries, the universities are looking for exactly.
Okay, back up. It won't sound that way on your computer. Like 5 people are talking. There are about 35 of these. If you did 2 a day, which would take 5 minutes, it'd take you what? 15 days, 17 days, whatever. And they go through it again. I was talking to somebody this morning about, I don't know what we're talking about, but, you know, I assume you've heard some preacher somewhere say there are 3 rules to learning: repetition, repetition, and repetition. Okay? Richard Rogers taught us the 3 rules are repetition, reiteration, and redundancy. Okay, he's being cute, right? But we all understand the way you learn is by hearing it over and over again. We didn't send our kids to school to hear one time from teacher A, you know, Marilyn's teacher, right? Okay, Marilyn doesn't get up one time, say, okay, children, here's how you work this problem. And then she never deals with that again. If she does, she's going to have a bunch of zeros, right? I think I'm dead. Yeah, or something like that, okay? And so these tutorials are so helpful in your learning. Okay, let's go back, please. And then kick back over to the right side on resources again. You have F and Qs. We're not going to look at that at all. But look at contact, and go ahead and click contact. You're going to have questions as you go through teaching. Now, you can contact me, and I'd be happy to talk to you. But you're going to be better off contacting World Bible School. Now, once again, you may not be able to see it from here, but my name is already in there because this is my site. Name Jim Corner, email jim@cornerfamily.net. I just type in the message, whatever I want to know. Hit submit, and the World Bible School Help Desk, if it's during the week, within 2 hours you're going to have an answer. They're really good. If it's on the weekend, you may have to wait till Monday. But, and don't be afraid of, I write them all the time. And so far they haven't said, hey, I'm tired of hearing, from you. And some things I write are probably fairly inane, but use that. That is a great resource when you have questions. Okay, let's go back. Hey, once again, stop me anytime you have questions. Okay, let's go back to the dashboard and go back to Buckingham Road, please. One thing, I don't know if it was Mike, I was talking to somebody this morning. Maybe I can't remember who I've talked to. But, yeah, I do. Who was sitting next to me at lunch? Can't remember his name. Heath was over here. You weren't there.
No, you were talking to Todd.
Whit was over. It was Todd. Holy Moses. He almost bit me. It was Todd I was talking to. And my experience, I'll just tell you what I told him. My experience is that the first time you see something, it is more complex than it is. It seems more complex. The illustration I always use is GPS. I love GPS. I love GPS. But there was a time when I was in World Bible School seminars, I didn't have GPS. And so I'm flying into wherever I'm flying into. And they've given me directions. Turn left out of the airport, go to Highway 27, hang a left, go 2.5 miles. You'll see a 7-Eleven on the left. Go right, cross railroad streets, blah, blah. And there's 18 steps. Holy Moses. I'm going to have to go back to college or something. No. You just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I always got there. Always. Okay? Because I can follow directions. Okay? But if I went back to the same church the second week, I'd keep my piece of paper, but I wouldn't look at it all. There'd be, oh yeah, I remember I turned right here, right? But after 3 times, hopefully 4 times, you take your piece of paper and trash it. What I'm doing in 2 hours is I'm giving you a whole lot of information, okay? And you may think, holy Moses, I'm not smart. No, this has nothing to do with smarts, and I'm living proof of that. Okay, so we're back to the Buckingham Road dashboard. So you notice under where it says dashboard, it says students waiting with a 0. So my congregation is up to speed. We don't have any of our students waiting. You have, what does that say, John? Unread messages. We've read all of our messages. Need introduction now. Okay, I am the coordinator for Buckingham Road's internet program. What does that mean? It means I can see some things that my teachers can't see. But even I can't see this, because hover that mouse over the 1. See, it didn't change into the little, the little finger that what is it looks up that you can hit. Even I can't see who. I just know one of my teachers. Now, it's not me, because I know that because I've seen mine. So one of my teachers needs to send an introduction. You have activity indicator on the right. You have, what's the one on the left then? Activity, what's? Okay, there you go. You have, let me see, maybe I can, oh, this works. You have course stats, which this is congregational. Remember, this isn't me. This is Buckingham Road. So we, for example, we've sent out over 5,000 lessons, 1,600 certificates. You have follow-ups and request types completed. So there you go. Okay, let's see. Let me get my little... Okay, now, John, on the left side, go down to students, right under dashboard. There you go, there you go. And this is one of your screenshots. I want to show you something once this finally pops up. Okay, these are all the students of Buckingham Road, okay? You will never see these, just like I would never see Custer Avenue, okay? So these are all the students we have. If you notice there you go. You've got the ID number, the name of the student, gender, language. See, this one's from Chicago. We're going to come back to edit tags. We'll look at that on another deal. But you have edit tags. We'll look at that later. We'll look at view profile later. And then course progress, we'll look at that later, okay? But see, Gene Simmons is one of our members, Richard Blaisdell, there's me. That just shows who the teachers are that have them. Okay, let's go on to the group student board. So now we're going to click student board. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, John. Now this one, once it pops up, you notice on your screenshot there's only one name. There's only two up there. And notice they're both from Cameroon. Okay? That's because my congregation has web targets in Cameroon. We're going to explain web targets in a little bit, so just don't worry about that right now, okay? And so when we look at our students, they're going to be from the Dallas area, or they're going to be from Cameroon, unless we can adopt outside of that. But on this page, that's all this will be. And notice on the right, you have encourage, and that one's received 2. Adopt, I'm not going to adopt. Pass on. Anybody can do this, not only the coordinator. Now, here's my advice. Now, Mike's the coordinator. I would say only Mike pass them on. Now, in theory, Ryan can pass them on. And what we suggest in World Bible School, don't keep a student on the board for more than 1 week. And so what I do, if they're a week old, I pass them on. They go back to World Bible School, and they'll be sent somewhere else. Hopefully someone else will get them. But anyone can pass on. And then assign to, now this, only the coordinator can do this. So let's say that Pat tells Mike, I want a student, and I don't have any. Well, he could assign that student to Pat.
That process has happened.
Yeah. Okay, fine. And there you go. And you're in business. Okay, now let's go to web targets. Now on your sheet, the next sheet is web ads. And what I want to show you, okay, let's talk about web targets before I show them to you. Here's the idea behind a web target. You target an area that your congregation will teach, okay? You can do it locally. Now, I'm not trying to be funny or mean or anything else. You're in a small town, okay? You can do a web target here if you want to. The probability you're going to reach very many people is really, really small, okay? Now, I live in Garland, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. And so we have a web target in Garland with our church building as the point of the radius. We got 25 miles. Guess what happened? You know how many people you reach in Garland, Texas if you reach out a 25-mile radius? Over 1 million people. And so anybody in the Dallas area, in our web target, who has Googled free Bible study, I want to study the Bible, whatever, when they click that in World Bible School, only my teachers will get it. Okay? We'll get an email. Now, that doesn't mean I have to adopt this person. I can just encourage them if I want to. But the point is, I'm the only one that has access. That is my congregation. We're the only ones who has access to them. The theory behind, theory is probably not the best word. I don't know if I have a good word. But anyway, one of the ideas, a major idea behind the web target is you have your built-in follow-up. One of the big problems we've had in World Bible School forever is follow-up. Okay? Okay, so you have someone in Kenya who says, I want to be baptized. That's good. How many of us are going to get a visa and fly to Kenya? And, you know, we're not going to do that, right? So how do we get someone to them? And so, but the idea behind a web target, like if you have a web target here, now, we'll show you how to set one up in just a minute. You can go out 100 miles if you want to. Now, Oklahoma City is 85 miles from here. Okay. Now, the only way I would ever recommend that you do that is if you have the ability in this congregation to travel to Oklahoma City for follow-up. If you're not going to do it, then have a 5 mile radius or 10 mile, whatever you can handle. Okay. The idea is you will do the follow-up. But you can also, on the web ad thing, you notice the one on the upper left is Buckingham Road. Then you have to see where it says Kumba, Cameroon, Boya, Cameroon, Bamenda, Cameroon. Those are 3 towns in Cameroon. Hey, I know Cameroon. I've made 65 trips to Cameroon. I know the preachers there. And so when we have a lot of students in Cameroon, World Bible School students. And so when one of them wants to be baptized, guess what? I know who to contact. I will email John Claude and I'll say, hey, I need you to go study with John Doe. Or if John, let's use an Oklahoma illustration. Let's say, I was talking to somebody this morning who was from, not Guyman, near Guyman, in the Panhandle. Was it Jason? Is Jason from the Panhandle of Oklahoma?
They were just passing through. Jason Lee is from Beaver. Oh, Jason Lee.
Yeah, right, Beaver. That's right, I remember that now. Okay, so let's say that you live in Lawton. I'm going to show you how much I know about Oklahoma. You live in Lawton, you have a student in Beaver who wants to be baptized. Well, that's a pretty good trip, right? I mean, you could do it, but that's going to be a journey. Or you can get on a phone and call a congregation up there and let them do the follow-up. And that's what we do with web ads, with web targets. And so you can target, if you had, I think Mike or somebody told me that you're fixing to support the South African preacher school or something. But what town is that in? Do you know, Pat? Do you know, Mike? Anybody? Benoni? Okay. Hey, email them and say, hey, would you be willing to follow up on World Bible School? If they will, then hit Benoni, put it as your radius, go out 5 miles, 10 miles, however long you want to go. You'll be getting students from them. Then when you finish grading and they want to be baptized, you'll email the people in Benoni and they will do the follow-up. That is the theory behind web targets. Okay? You're targeting an area that either you as a congregation can follow up on, or you have people in that area that can follow up on. So if you had someone in Peru, it doesn't matter where it is. So you can do a web target anywhere in the world. And it's up to you as to how far you go. Okay, let's go back. Let's see, wait, don't move yet. Okay, turn your page on here. I better. You remember how nice it was when you didn't have to wear glasses and you just had good vision and all that kind of stuff? Up there, see it says create new web target? Okay, hit that, John, because I'm going to show you how you do it. Upper right. There you go. No. Create. See where it says create? There you go. Hit that, please. Now, we're going to walk through it. We're not going to do it. We'll abort the mission before it's finished, okay? So don't worry. So, under language, see you have your choices: English, France, Portuguese, Spanish. Okay, I would click English. That's what we do. Okay, now go to the next line. You can do either postal students only, online students only, or all students. That's your call. Okay, so go ahead and click all students. Once again, we're not going to finish this. Okay, then the next line, do by radius. Just do by radius, don't do whole region. Okay, under location, type in, John, Clinton, comma, okay. Well, there, it's already there. Just highlight that. Highlight Clinton. There you go. Okay, now radius. See, you can start 5 miles up to 100 miles. Once again,
We've got a 50-mile radius right now.
okay, that's fine. Once again, this is a congregational call. This, you do it, what floats your boat. Okay, get out of that. We're not going to set anything. So just go ahead and totally back out of it. But that's how you set a web tag. And you can do that in Benoni. You can do that anywhere in the world where you have people who can do the follow-up. That's the theory. I know I'm repeating myself, but that's the theory behind web targets. So that when they finish the lesson and they say, I want to be baptized, you know who to send them to. Okay, what is next on our sheet? Okay, campaigns. Now go down to that, please. And don't be intimidated by any of this junk. Okay. I'm closer so you can't read it, but you see, can you read domain? That's in fairly big letters. Underneath the domain, it says https://discovertheword.worldbibleschool.org. What's that? That's Buckingham Road's campaign. What does that mean, campaign? Well, it means that we got an URL. I can spell URL, that's all, okay? Okay? But there's bound to be someone in this congregation. Can you set up a URL? Can any of y'all set up a URL? If you can't, you can either find someone who can, and if you can't, call World Bible School. In 5 minutes, they'll set you up a URL. One thing about World Bible School Internet, there's no cost of any kind. You won't do anything that will cost you a nickel. Used to, we charge, was it $5 when you adopted a student? We don't, nothing anymore. So there is zero cost to a congregation for World Bible School Internet. Now, so discover the word, that is Buckingham Road. That's our URL. Then it has creator, I don't know what it, I don't know why NA is there. English, also. Okay, hit download assets, please. Okay, and yeah, bottom left, bottom left, click that, please. And then when that comes up, John, hit the one, I think it's the first one that says business cards, I think. Yeah, and click that. And I'm going to show you something. If that ever comes up. There you go. You see that card? Aha. I've got this card. Okay. Pardon me?
We have some of those.
Good.
We have a whole bunch of those.
Okay. So then you know how this works. And so how do you get this word out? Well, you can pass them out. You can, I may have told you this 4 years ago, and I'm not being funny. If you're a good tipper, leave it when you buy a meal. If you're not a good tipper, don't do it. My dad, I love my dad. My dad was the tightest. Holy Moses, this guy was tight. My mom died when I was 15. He remarried when I was 18. My stepmom died in 1985. 87, somewhere in that ballpark. I went up to Wichita to visit Dad, and I'd been up there a few days, and he'd bought for every meal. And so this one day I said, I'm buying today. He said, no, I'm buying. I said, I'm buying. That's the end of that discussion. Where do you want to go? He said, Pizza Hut, which surprised me. You want to go to Pizza Hut? You don't like pizza? No, I like Pizza Hut. So we went. We're about done, and he says, well, I'll leave the tip. What I'm fixing to say is the truth. You put down a quarter. I mean, a whole quarter. I put down a number of dollars. He looked at it and says, well, that's enough. He picked up his quarter and put it in his pocket. True story. My dad, oh man, my dad was terrible. But if you're a good tipper, leave one of these cards. If you're on Facebook, or I'm not on Twitter, but if you're any social media, you can put that on there. So if you want to study the Bible, go and whatever. What is your handle here? Do you know the name of your campaign? Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, if they go to that, only people at Custer Avenue will get that request. No one else will. So that's the way campaigns work. Okay, let me put this back up. Let's see, where are we going next, John? Okay. Now, look up here at the screen again. Yeah, back it up. Yeah, there you go. I guess back it up one more time. Let me see what comes up. Back it up again. Okay, now, y'all, on the left, you have student board, web targets, campaigns just looked at. Okay, mass messaging. Go ahead and hit that. We may have a page of this in a minute, but we'll go ahead and hit it now. Mass messaging is when you want to send a message to anybody in the group, okay? And anybody can do this, not just the coordinator. And everybody know how to text, I assume? Okay, so this isn't, rocket science. You would go over to the far right, in this case, hit message. I'm sorry, John, go up to compose. Upper right, there you go. No, well, get that, yeah, there you go. You hit compose. And then you type in your message, you hit send, and everybody in the group gets the message, whatever it is. Like I said, anybody can write now.
I thought they quit the mass messaging.
Huh?
I thought they quit the mass messaging.
Well, if they did, they didn't tell me, because I still do it. I still do it, so.
They had a problem with it, and I saw something somewhere where they said they quit that.
Well, I still do it. So maybe don't tell World Bible School I still do it, because maybe I'll be in trouble. I don't know.
Oh, it was something about sending too many emails to created a problem.
Well, okay, that would be different than this. Yeah, that'd be different than this. Okay. Yeah, the mass message is within your group, and you just want to say whatever you want to say. Once again, in my congregation, I'm really the only one that ever sends a message. And every once in a while, I'll just write, usually it's a pump-up deal, hey, you're doing a good job, whatever. Another thing I will do, not real often, but sometimes I have to do it. Okay, this is just me, okay? I'm not saying this is right or wrong. If we have a student in the Dallas area, and it's a woman, I will not adopt them as a student. Because I know in follow-up I could take my wife with me. I just would rather a woman teach. That's just me, okay? I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's just me. But also you will have some students, when they fill out their profile, they will say, I only want a man to teach me. That'd be a man. Or a woman will say, I only want a woman to teach me, okay? Which is cool. Okay, that's fine, no big deal. So on the messaging, sometimes what I will do is I'll notice a lady's been on the board for a few days in the Dallas area. And I'll write a message. I say, hey, if any of you sisters can handle, Mary Jo, would you please adopt her? I don't really have that problem with my teachers. We pretty much keep our board pretty much empty. Okay, on the left, we're not going to look at activity log. That just shows, if you want to look at a whole bunch of stuff, you can. Members is going to show the number of of teachers, and then settings. That settings is beyond me anyway, so don't worry about it. Okay, so now let's go up to the dashboard and switch to my group, my personal group. Yeah, there you go. And this will be where it says personal study book, group, personal study book, personal study group. And so I have my nice little picture there that my daughter-in-law taught me how to put it there. And you can do whatever you want. You don't have to put a picture. You can do whatever floats your boat. Now, we're not going to go over a lot of this stuff because this is just repetition of what we just looked at, most of it. The two dashboards are basically the same. You have where he has the finger, unread, need introduction. I'm gonna have to anybody got a ladder I can get up there. But see, I'm up to date. I don't have anyone who needs introduction. I have no one waiting on me. I have 18 active students right now. I have no unread messages. So I'm giving you a good example of what a good teacher should do. No unread notifications. So I'm good. Okay, I'm good. The student board, we don't need to look at it because it's the same. Okay. Well, yeah, there's a bunch of things that have already been done, though. Otherwise, I don't have, that shows students' latest progress, but I don't have anything that I need to do right now. Let's scroll back up, John. So on the left, you have students. Go ahead and click. In fact, let me look here. Yeah, my students, which is your next sheet. Now, this, of course, it'll come up in a minute. This is all the students that I've had over the years, okay? Scroll down real quickly at the very bottom right. Don't click anything. See where, well, once again, you can't read that. But I have page 1 of 8. So there's no reason why I would look at any of those. Those are old students. But nevertheless, those are all the students that I have had. Now, scroll back up, and now we're going to go back to edit tags. So let's just go to these. Do edit go to Ibrahim. No, there you go. And go to him on edit tags. How many of you are familiar with tags? Is this a new concept? It's a new concept to me. Okay? I don't know what tags are. Well, I do now. Put your cursor where it says tags, please. Well, okay, in that area, yeah. Or the drop down over to the right. The far right, there's a drop down arrow. No, there you go. Okay, notice it has, once again, it says inactive student, graduated Cameroon students. Okay, this is me. I have a tag for Cameroon students. You can have as many tags as you want. Okay, if you wanted to have a prison tag. Okay, so these are all my students who I'm staying with in prison. The tag is inconsequential. I mean, you can do whatever you want with it, is what I mean. Notice where it says inactive students. Because a question people have, and it's a valid question, how long do I hang out with a student who is not responding? Okay, I've sent them lessons. I've sent them messages saying, hey, John, I hope everything's well. I haven't heard from you in a while. You know, this is me, okay? World Bible School doesn't have any strict rules, you know, okay, here's the way you do it. What I do generally, I go through all my students. I look at who's responded, who hasn't. And if I have given them 3 months, and I mean, I've written them, I've messaged them, I've heard, and they haven't messaged back, then I will put them in my inactive student. Now, if then, this doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. If 6 months later, voila, here comes a lesson from, it's no big deal. I can take them out of inactive. This is not, you know, you're inactive for the rest of your life, you're going to go to hell, you know, I'm sorry about, you know. No, it's nothing like that, all right? Graduated would be obviously if they've finished the course. Okay, so go ahead and X out of that, please. Yeah, there you go. Then you have view profile. And go ahead and click that, please. And this will bring up what they have filled out. Okay, once again, I know you can't read it from there, but it has first, last name, year they were born, gender, country, city, state and province. They prefer, in this case, English. They're a web student. They heard from us on an internet ad. He's single, and his job is he's a laundry dry cleaning service. So there you go. And that's something that he filled out, and you can see his profile. Now, we're not going to do it right now, but notice on the left, you see his picture, okay? And underneath it, you see message. No, don't click that, but if I wanted to message him, I click that, I type in whatever I want to type in, hit send, bam, and it's there. And then he can message back to me at any time. Okay, hit the back arrow, please. There you go. John, you ought to do this for a living. You're doing a pretty good job. Okay, so we just look at students. Okay, hit follow-ups, please. Pardon me? Oh, thank you. Go back. That's my fault. Okay, yeah, go to course progress. Thank you, Pat. Now, in Ibrahim's case, it's going to be 0 because he just started. Once again, you can't read, but it says 30%. He's finished the 30% of the introductory lesson. So he's not even finished the first lesson. I don't expect you to remember this, but the girl in the 3-minute video, one thing she said was, some of my students don't finish all the lessons, and some of them don't even finish the first. That's common, okay? Don't get discouraged. I've argued for years. One of the greatest tools that the devil has at his disposal is discouragement. Now, he uses it well. And to me, the classic, maybe you think of a more classic, but one of the classic Bible illustrations is the 10 spies. You know, here you have 10 guys who say, can't be done. They're big, they're stronger than we are, you know, they'll whoop us, and so what happens? Well, 603,548 people die in the wilderness, right? That was the census of the men 20 and above. And only Joshua and Caleb escaped. And in Deuteronomy, it says the 10 discouraged the people. Instead of saying, you remember in Numbers 13, it's about verse 34, wherever the last verse is, it says, we seem like grasshoppers to them, and we look the same in our own eyes. The problem was, we look the same in our eyes. Hey, the fact that the people of the land thought they're grasshoppers was nothing. Because God could have whooped them, right? And God would have. If the 12 would have come back and said, we're going in, guess what? They'd have went in and they'd won. Not because they're powerful, because what? God's powerful. And so the discouragement factor cost a lot of lives, cost 40 years of wandering in the wilderness for nothing. For nothing. Well, in evangelism, including World Bible School, you can become discouraged. Man, I've sent out this many lessons, and nothing's happened. There are glory stories and there are horror stories in World Bible School. Let me give you a glory story. I'll give you two. In 1992, somewhere in that ballpark, I went to Atlanta, Texas. Did y'all know there's an Atlanta, Texas? Oh, yeah. It's in East Texas. I went there to make a World Bible School presentation, but there was a lady in the congregation who was already a World Bible School teacher. She's with the Lord right now, but she began teaching in 1976. World Bible School began in 73. Her first student, not only became a preacher, but he ultimately ended up establishing 8 congregations. Now that's a glory story, right? Do. That's great. The Sunset Church of Christ in Springfield, Missouri. I did a World Bible School seminar for them 20 years ago, whenever it was. The first year in their World Bible School program, they had 135 baptisms from their World Bible School program. Now, is that the norm? No. That is absolutely not the norm. That's the glory story. There's so many others. I've got a lady in our congregation. Oh, I love this girl. She's dying of cancer. She's such a good girl. And by girl, she's as old as I am. So anyway, she's been a World Bible School teacher for 20 years, 25 years, something like that. And probably 10 years ago, she came and she was so excited. She said, Jim, I had my first baptism. Well, that's great, you know. Now, there are other people who, okay, I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not a big proponent of door knocking. If you are, God bless you, okay? Anybody know who Charles Hodge is? You ever heard of Charles Hodge? I love Charles. Now, he's either really old or with the Lord, and I'm not being funny. I don't know, one or the other. Charles was a preacher who, like I said, I love to listen to him preach. And he used to preach in Duncanville, which is it's a Dallas suburb on the southern side of Dallas. And I would get his bulletin. And one week he put in the bulletin, just a little burp. Door knocking beats nothing, but not by much. Okay. Now, if you agree, fine. If you disagree, fine. But the reality is, in door knocking, you're picking on strangers. Right? You're picking on strangers. You know? World Bible School is the opposite of that. But here's where and here's one reason why we have so many people who don't follow through. Have you ever known someone who just loved to study the Bible? Now, they weren't really interested in, okay, here's what it says, I'm going to start doing it. They just love in a generic way. I mean, on Sunday morning, they'll watch the Baptist hour, and then they'll watch the Methodist hour, and then watch the Catholic hour. They just love religion, you know. But they're not paying any attention to the text. They're not looking and say, what does the Bible really say? They, like I said, they just have this generic, I just love people, and I just love to study the Bible. Well, that's fine, but hey, the Bible's the Bible, right? It's God's Word, and you can't mess with it, or you better not mess with it, or you'll be in trouble. Well, you have people in World Bible School, what's this all about? You know, and so they may begin. Hey, I've got a student who, his name is Pastor somebody. I don't call him Pastor when I write him. I call him, his name's John. It's not, whatever his name is, that's what I put. But he has his own church. Okay, and it's a Pentecostal church. If you know anything about Pentecostalism, it is a highly emotional religion. And it's tough to convert a Pentecostal because they're on an emotional level. If you've ever tried to reason someone out of something, otherwise, okay, let me give you this illustration. We all know what phobias are. Some phobias to me, yeah, that makes sense. I may not have that phobia, but I understand it. We had a lady at Buckingham Road 30 years ago, 50 years old, so a grown woman, okay? She wanted to be baptized, but she had a phobia of the water. Okay. We're talking about a baptistry. Okay? We're not saying, okay, we're going to take you out to the Atlantic Ocean and we're going to, get in a boat and go out about halfway out. Then we're talking about a baptistry. And so my brain says, okay, I understand, okay, I can't swim. Well, you don't have to be able to swim. Can you stand up? Right? Because unless they think that Richard, that was our preacher's name, unless she thought that he was going to hold her under and on purpose kill her, you could rationalize, okay, I'm going to be down and up, bam, and it's done, right? 3 seconds. And she was baptized, but it was all she could handle. I mean, it was really hard on her to go through that. And so that's the emotional thing. So going back to Pentecostals. Do I think that Pastor Bob, whatever, I can't remember his other name, is going to become a Christian? I don't think so. I hope he does. I pray for him. But I know that if he's locked into Pentecostalism, the chances, because I've studied with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Pentecostals in my life, the chances that he's going to come around aren't very good. You know what? I'm sorry about that. But guess what my job and your job is in evangelism? It's to make the gospel available. Once we've shared the gospel, the ball is in their court, right? They pull the trigger, they don't pull the trigger. 1 Corinthians 3, we water, plant, but who gives increase? God does. So I've never converted anybody in my life, neither have you. I've sown a bunch of seed. Some people have responded, but God gets all the glory. And so in World Bible School, you have the same situation. You're going to have a lot of students who are never going to become Christians. We're sorry, right? I wish everybody in Clinton, Oklahoma became a Christian. I wish everybody in Garland, Texas was a Christian. I wish everybody in the world was a Christian. But it doesn't work that way, does it? Because God gives us free will. And we get to make our choices. But that doesn't hinder me from teaching and trying to reach out as many people as I can. Okay, so let's back up now. So there's your course study. Okay.
Talk about all those courses.
Oh, okay. Well, remember I showed you, The Way to Life is the introductory course. It's 20 questions. God Has Spoken is 100 questions. If you got the book, it's a book, 100 questions. Online, here's the big difference between online and postal. Postal, you're going to send the entire book, okay, to your student and wherever they're at. Online, they do one lesson at a time. They pull the lesson off the internet. It's already been graded. You don't grade it. You deal with discussion questions. And if they've missed any, and if you've done this, you can see, they missed this one. It has the correct answer there, and you can help them in that way. So God Has Spoken was a book that was written about, this is 2023, it was written 30 years ago. World Bible School in its infancy, actually the first probably 20 years, we were having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of baptisms every year. And we became convinced that many of them were not being converted to Christ. And here's why. Here's a primary reason. Most third world people live in polytheistic countries that worship many gods. India would be a huge example. There are over 5,000 gods in India. Now, no one worships 5,000 gods, but that's their smorgasbord that they get to choose from, okay? In Cameroon, where I work, they have juju, they have a thing called ancestor worship. Here's how it works. In Cameroon, now in the big cities there are laws about where you can bury, but in the smaller towns and villages, you can bury, just dig a hole, plop your loved one in, you're good to go. And so let's say great-great-grandpa is buried in your backyard, and you have a family problem. It could be a finance problem, a health problem, a fill-in-the-blank problem. They will dig up his skeleton, take off the head, put the head inside the house, rebury the bones. If great-great-great-grandpa loved red wine, they'll pour some red wine on that skull, literally. If his favorite food was fufu, they'll take a little fufu and put on that skull. And the theory is, poof, the problem goes away. You say, that's nonsense. Well, of course it's nonsense. When I was first introduced to this by a couple of brothers in Christ who are both educators, they said, now, Jim, this is not just illiterate village people who believe this. This is people with PhDs, businessmen who drive Mercedes, okay? And so it's deeply ingrained in them. And so God has spoken was written, say there's one God, he has one book, he has one Son. This is Good News is a book, you can guess, on the gospel. Now, in postal, if you had a postal program, what we recommend is send the introductory course by itself, but then you send God has spoken and This is Good News in tandem. Our thinking is, let's get the gospel to them as quickly as possible in case there is a problem with the postal or something. We want to get it to them. Knowing Jesus is a book just what it sounds like. Who is this Jesus guy? Okay? I probably gave you this illustration when I was here 4 years ago because I use this a lot. This morning in class, if I would have said, how many of you heard of Muhammad? Probably a ton of hands would go up. If I would have said, okay, tell me about him. Islam. Good, tell me some more. Quran. Tell me some more. For most of us, we'd be out of soap pretty quick. Okay, Jesus. Go anywhere in the world. Go up to somebody. Have you heard of Jesus? Oh, a ton of people would say yes. But you said, okay, tell me about him. Now we might be in a different ball game. Okay? To me, it's like computer words. RAM. RAM is a computer term, right? I always thought it was a football player who lived in Los Angeles, moved to St. Louis, got homesick, and moved back to L.A. But my daughter-in-law says, no, my beloved father-in-law. She doesn't call me my beloved father-in-law. But anyway, I should know. It's a computer term. And I said, okay, explain it to me. She explained it to me about 5 times, and I saw what it means, and I really don't care, okay? Knowing Jesus is going to help them find out who is Jesus. Born in Water and the Spirit is an 8-lesson treatise on the new birth of John chapter 3. It is intended to get them in the water. The Family of God is a book on the church. Hey, look, if you think the United States has a corner on denominationalism, you're wrong. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Ghana, where I worked initially, Ghana has, I'm going to say 30 million people, something like that. The government, well, this is in Cameroon too, a church has to, what were I looking for? I just went blank. Anyway, they register. They have to register as a religious group. Okay, no big deal. In Ghana alone, there are only over 1,300 churches that claim to be Christian. Okay? When I was a boy in Wichita, when you went to the movie, usually it was a double feature. You had the first movie, then you'd have a cartoon, news blip from something happened somewhere in the world, advertisement from a local establishment, some local merchant, and like a 10-second blip. This Sunday, worship at the church of your choice. What's the message? Just go to church. Doesn't matter where you go. Well, this book says, no, Jesus has one church. He doesn't have 2, 3, 5, 10. He has one. This is taken completely out of the book of Ephesians. Live a Life of Love is a new convert book. What do you do? You become a Christian. In my sermon, I mentioned we have some people who believe once baptized, always saved. And we do. And they're going to get in the water. But they're not going to get involved in the work of the Lord. And so this book says there's more to Christianity than simply getting baptized. And then you have the supplemental lesson. And we're not going to look at all those. There are a number of supplemental lessons that they can go to. Yes, sir.
Each of those is a book.
Mm-hmm.
They finish all those.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
Okay. If they finish all those and they have not, there are a couple options. If they've not requested baptism, so they're done, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to send, go ahead and click that supplemental series arrow to the yeah. You have Guide to New Testament Christianity, Lord Teach Us to Pray, Test the Spirits. Scroll down, because I know there's more. There's more than that. There are at least 8 supplemental lessons. Now, these are totally different than the Master Series. These are not to be graded, okay? Otherwise, they won't correspond back and forth. But you will, this is what I do. I'll say, hey, study this, you know. At some point in time, let's take personal evangelism 101. When you're teaching someone, and now the moment of truth has come, and you say, would you like to be baptized? And they say, no. Okay. Well, I'm gonna try to do some persuading. You remember in, was it 2 Corinthians 5, I think it says, knowing the fear of the Lord, we persuade men. And that word persuade in the Greek means just what you think it means, to change the mind. And I think what Paul is saying is that while none of us understand hell completely, but we know enough to know we don't want to face God on the wrong side, right? And so here's this person, and they said no, so I'm going to try to persuade them. And this is purely feel when you're staying with someone. At some point you realize the answer's no. The answer's no. And if I now try to, push on them, now I've driven them farther away. And so let's say I was a member here and I did that. And then later on, Todd meets this person. I like to study the Bible with you, and they say, where do you go to church? Well, I go to the Custer Avenue Church of Christ. They will probably wrongly assume that Todd's just like me. I'm just a hard head, and I ain't going to take no for nothing, and they won't stay with Todd. Now, once again, that's a feel thing. And so, at some point, it's the old lead a horse to water. I mean, at some point, I've shared with them all I can share, and they've made their decision. Once again, if you're dealing with someone who is immersed in a denomination, immersed, you're going to have trouble pulling them out of that. If you want to convert a Catholic who is 50 years old, they've been going to Catholic church since infancy. They were an altar boy when they were 12 or whenever, I don't know what age you are when you're an altar boy. Otherwise, they've done the whole thing. The probability that you're going to lead them to Christ is pretty small. Because they've bought in to Catholicism. Well, they bought into Pentecostalism. They bought into Mormonism. Isn't there a Mormon church right up here? Yeah, when I turn the corner, you have a staunch Mormon who's been a Mormon all their life. God bless you in trying to convert them. Was it you? Somebody told me about you had somebody in Utah that wanted to be baptized. Somebody told me that today.
We have one that is in the follow-up program.
Yeah, in Utah.
They're trying to find somebody.
Yeah. You know who owns Utah, don't you? The Mormon Church. Okay? And so hopefully they will find someone. But Utah is a really tough place. If you want to beat your head against the wall, go to Utah and do mission work. That's just, we know that. So I talked a long way to answer. I should have shut up a long time ago. Hey, you do what you can. You go take them as far as you can. Once you've shared everything you can, and they say no, there's nothing else you can do. There's no gun to the head type thing. But that, that's a valid question. Okay, on the left, let's go back to the left now, John. We're not going to bring up any of those student notes, anything you want to type in there. That's a personal thing. Study helpers is the number of people we have, follow-ups. That's going to be all your own thing. Okay, so let's back up. Where are we at? Oh, okay. Personal campaign. So go down to campaigns. There you go. And you've got a screenshot here. Now, every one of you, when you sign up to be a study helper, automatically have your own personal campaign. You don't have to do anything. Doesn't mean you have to do anything with it. If you notice on the screenshot, mine obviously is jim.corner or jim-corner.worldbibleschool.org. I handle this the same way I do the campaigns, that is the group campaigns. I've put on Facebook before, okay, if you'd like to study the Bible with me, go here. Really, your imagination is the only thing that will limit you. But if you had, let's say you had a coworker or a friend, and you said, I'd like to study the Bible with you on the internet. Wait, if you have a friend say, I'd like to study the Bible with you, they might say, I don't want to do face-to-face. Well, what about the internet? What if I just sent you some lessons? If they say yes, give them your personal campaign. The email will go directly to them. They won't ever have to study with anybody else. They won't have to come to this building. They won't have to do anything. World Bible Schools, we're just trying to sow seed. We're trying to reach as many people as we can. We had over 1 million new students last year, which is great. And we want to continue to make that happen. Okay. Okay. So that's that. Now we're going to look at my email, but do you have any questions before we go to my email? And I'm going to show you a couple things on it. Have I confused you enough? Have I thrown enough information? Okay. Okay, so get completely out of that. I'm going to have to watch this screen to tell you what I want you, yeah. Yeah, X out of that. Yeah, click that. Well, no, get out of that. Go back again. Just keep going back in a minute. Oh, is that as far back as it'll go? Okay, you're connected to the internet, right? Okay. It doesn't matter because we're going to my email. So go to the top where you would put in where you put a new tab in. Very top, top right. Yeah, there you go. I wonder why Gmail's not popping up. Huh. I don't. Oh, wait, you're not on my computer. That's. I'm an idiot. Okay, forget everything I just said. Okay, I'm going to talk you through this. The two things I was going to show you, one was a web target, an email that I got. It's in my group. It's in the Dallas area. And once I've already told you this. All you do is you click on that. You hit encourage. If you want to adopt, you adopt. It's as simple as that. And once your group, like I said, I know I'm repeating myself now. Once your group has sent 3 encouragement letters to that person, then that's it. Okay? And once again, just because they get 3 encouragement letters doesn't mean they're going to start doing World Bible School. They may not. That's their call. And so, I can't do anything about that. But really, that's pretty much it. Now, if I've confused you, my wife says that's one of my gifts, is confusing people. And it is what it is. And unfortunately, she's right most of the time. What am I going to do? The one last thing I would say to you, because I'm done. We don't have to go to 4 o'clock. I'll answer as many questions you want. But don't let anything that I've shown you today intimidate you about, holy Moses, I've got to go to college and get a computer science degree to do World Bible. No, you don't. No, you don't. I guarantee you, after you do this for a while, you'll do great. Another thing, remember I showed you the resources where you can get contact if you want to call World Bible School or email World Bible School about anything. Another thing you could always do within your own group is let's say Donna has a question about X, whatever X is. She can either do World Bible School, which is probably the best thing, or you could ask, Pat, or you could ask Mike, or how do I do this, or what do I do here? It won't take very long. I remember when I first started this, you know, I kind of, my eyes glazed over and because, okay, if you are real tech savvy, then nothing blows you away, right? You know, you just, my daughter-in-law is that way. I mean, you know, if she doesn't know it, she'll get on Google and before you know it, she knows the answer to it. I'm not that way. Part of that's because I'm old. And I am, and that's okay. My wife won't admit she's old, but she is. But is this being taped?
Too late now.
Hopefully she won't see it. I got to tell you a real quick story. My wife does not like to hear she's old. Well, Will is our second grandson. He's 20. He's a Marine, but he's 20 now. He's about 12. He's at our house. And he said, "Grandma, you're old." Oh, man. What kind of stupid little kid are you anyway? You know? And then his mother, our daughter, talk about dumber than a post. She said, "Mom, you are old. Get over it." I said, "Stephanie, what is wrong with your brain? Did you leave your brain out in the car?" You know? But the point is, Jennifer, my daughter-in-law, she sails through computer because, number one, she's a lot younger than I am. Number two, that's her thing. I mean, she works with computer stuff all the time, where I don't. And I'm older, and I was raised on an Underwood typewriter in 9th grade, you know? And I know what an Underwood typewriter is, you know? I know what a Royal typewriter is and all this kind of stuff. I'll tell you a real quick story. When I was a sophomore in high school, in Wichita, even though 9th grade is high school, you actually went to the junior high. And then senior high was 10, 11, 12. So in my sophomore year, I took a course called Office Machines. It was 6 office machines, 5 of which don't exist and haven't existed for decades. But I took the course for only one reason. Only girls took the course. That's why I took the course. So I was in there with all the girls, and I loved it. You know, well, they had electric typewriters in the room. And I'd do my work, and then I'd play on I'd never been on an electric typewriter. And one day my teacher came up and said, "I just hope when you get your grade, you'll understand why." Okay, no problem, and I kept typing away. Okay, 3 days before class was over, or the semester was over, I went up and I said, "Hey, do you know our grade?" "Yeah." "What'd I get?" "Ooh, this hurt her so bad." She said, 97. I'd done my work before I played on the typewriter. It wasn't I didn't do my work, you know. But anyway, but I live in a different generation. Our grandkids are doing stuff that didn't even exist when we were kids. So don't be, this is not hard. And I'm not saying that to sell you on anything. This is not hard. And once you do it, after a while, you'll just be like anything else you do. You'll just do it. You won't even think about it. And you'll be done. So, we're going to have a prayer. Any questions for? Yes, Todd.
So I know the encourage. I've done that.
Okay.
Let's say you adopt.
Okay.
Then what's going to happen to me, if I adopt?
When you adopt them, then when they finish the introductory, for example, an email will come to you.
On one of these boards?
No, it'll come on your email. On your email, your personal email.
Oh, okay.
And you'll click on it. And then it will come up, and there'll be the lesson. They will already have done it. Okay? You will, if they made 100, there's nothing to do. They're discussion questions. And you can respond to them in any way you want to respond. For example, I'll give you one quick example. On God Has Spoken, I think it's lesson number 3, but it doesn't matter. It talks about the Sabbath. Well, I wrote a 4-page paper on the Sabbath 10 years ago, and I have it saved on my computer. And so on that deal, I will always copy and paste those 4 pages and say, here's something you might want to look at for that. I have ones on baptism, different ones that I've written up over the years. And so once you adopt, then once you send it back to them, then they will do the next lesson and come back to you. The difference between internet and postal. Postal, you're doing a book at a time. Internet, you're doing a lesson at a time. But that doesn't impact you. All that means is you get through quicker.
It comes on here somewhere though, right?
Pardon me?
When you say email, when I click on here to find out what's going on, it'll show that I have somebody.
You have an email address?
Yeah.
It'll go straight.
It'll
So
go
it
to,
isn't involved in this?
no.
No.
Okay, well, that's right.
It goes straight to you.
I thought it was all in here.
It goes straight to you. And one thing, and I think I mentioned this earlier, don't ever give away any personal address information on you. You can say you live in Texas or Oklahoma, and that doesn't do a whole lot if you wanted to. But definitely, this is just my advice, don't say, here's my address and here's this. If they ask for stuff, don't ever give it. The third world mentality is that everyone in this room has more money than we know what to do with. I mean, that's their belief. And so if I want a new Mercedes, I just go down to the Mercedes dealer, I pull out my wallet, say how much you need, and I hand them the cash. Oh, I need a new mansion. I just go buy a new mansion. I mean, that's the mentality. I understand it. I've been there. If I live there, I understand that. But what I do when this doesn't happen often, when they say, hey, Jim, I need money for school fees. That could be a request. I'll say, I'm sorry, but my mission in World Bible School is to help share the gospel with you. And I pray that somehow God will get you the necessary school fees. Because I guarantee you, if you send them money, you're a cash cow from then on. And they will tell all their little friends, they're good American friends. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. And so I would never send them money. I would never send, I send them the gospel. That's what I send them. So, anything else? Hey, thank you all for coming. Let's have a prayer. Father, when we look at the world and its size, it is very intimidating. We know there are a ton of people out there who are lost. And certainly we're not going to reach. We'll reach a small minority of them, but we want to reach as many as we can. Father, I pray you'll be with this group right here, that they will get involved, that their numbers of students will increase, and that ultimately souls will be won. That we're going to meet people in heaven who were there because we taught them the gospel through World Bible School. Thank you so much for the kindness that this congregation has shown me throughout this day. I just pray you bless our day. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.